Demonstrators and activists are gathering in Sanford, Florida right now, demanding justice for Trayvon Martin. In fact, a large crowd is rallying outside the police department there as we give you a look at that. The hope is to keep pressure on the local officials. And among the organizers of today's event is NAACP President and CEO Ben Jealous. And Ben joins me live from Sanford. Ben, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So the overall message of this rally, it is what?
It is that it's time to finally bring Mr. Zimmerman to justice. It's time for the wheels of justice here to really get traction and start rolling quickly. It's been 34 days, and folks here are just tired of waiting. It's time for Mr. Zimmerman to be brought to justice.
Ben, have you been contacted by Sanford police officials to explain their reasoning for not getting George Zimmerman with an arrest inside that police station thus far?
No, it's very disturbing, because the reality is that we will never be able to go back to that day and gather crime scene photos that weren't gathered, gather evidence at the scene that wasn't gathered, gather evidence from Mr. Zimmerman that wasn't gathered on that day. And that's part of why folks here are so impatient and saying, look, it is time to just bring him in and get him processed. You know, one of the things that someone said here when we had a church meeting, and they were talking about a specific case that happened about 2 years ago, in which a man walking down the street was attacked by a dog and shot it, and they threw that man in jail the next day. And they said, look, if you kill a dog in this town, you'll be locked up the next day. So here we are 34 days later, this beautiful young boy is dead, and no one has been brought into jail to even start the basic process.
Yeah. Ben, what can be done immediately? I was speaking earlier with Bob Hermert, whom you know, and we were talking about the wheels of justice churning very, very slowly in this case. I know the police department is looking for a new police chief. They've organized through an outside independent firm. It's not as if they're going through members of their own police department. They're looking elsewhere for a police chief. What else can be done immediately to help get to the point that you're trying to make, that you want justice, something for Trayvon?
You know, we need all of the evidence to be gathered. It's good to see the changing of the state's attorney, them really beginning a true investigation. The family's doing incredible work to gather their own evidence, something they shouldn't have to do, but they've been forced to do by this department that frankly didn't do their job on day one. And it's important when you listen to people in this community that folks actually go deeper and look at this department, because they've seen case after case where young black men in this town have been attacked or killed, and the police have just not responded the way that you would expect people who are paid to respect and protect all of us should respond.
Yeah. Ben, I'm going to ask you another question, but want to let you know and all of our viewers, of course, a man who needs no introduction. That is Reverend Al Sharpton, of course, a colleague of mine here on MSNBC and one of our hosts. But Ben, very quickly, is this, do you believe, a case of lone racial injustice, or is there a bigger problem here in Sanford, Florida?
Both. You know, both. I mean, the reality here, this isn't about whether Mr. Zimmerman is a racist. We have no idea. But what this is about is young black men being profiled by white cops, by black cops, by people in the Neighborhood Watch program, by private security agencies in this town. And the reality is that young black men have been treated different for centuries in our society. And it's time for us as a society to move beyond racial profiling, to start focusing on what people do, not what they look like. We can do it. We have done it in some places in this nation. It's time for us to do it throughout this nation. It's just been too long, too many young men being humiliated, mistreated, and even killed because their very color is considered suspicious.
NAACP President and CEO Ben Jealous. Ben, thank you very much for your time. We'll let all of you know we're going to turn up the volume here on the Reverend Al for a moment. I know the picture's dipping in and out, but there it is. Let's listen to what he has to say there in Sanford.
It's those that are interfering with the parents. We talking about...
Wouldn't you know it, you guys, we're going to take a break right now. There must be some storms or something interfering with the satellite signal, so we are going to get back to that when we can. In the meantime, the best of office politics. It is the top of the hour here at MSNBC, and there you are seeing the Reverend Al Sharpton. He's down there leading a rally at the end of a mile-long march in Sanford, Florida. All people crying for justice for Trayvon. Let's listen in a bit to the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I come to stand with our brothers in the NAACP, Brother Clayton, Brother Jealous, and our chair lady, and all the others, as they have stood with us. Everybody's rally, we go to each other's rally, because it's all one rally. Because all of us want one thing: the immediate arrest of Zimmerman and the police chief. To don't step aside for a moment, keep on going. And we want a just trial for this family. When Attorney Crump called me and I first talked to the parents, but I don't go nowhere unless they ask us to come. I told them I'd be here and National Action Network would be here to the end. I don't care who don't like it. You didn't ask us to come. I'm going to be here as long as those that invited us tell us they need us here. I am not no boy. I don't need your permission to fight. You used to talking to little boys that run when you lift your voice and when you start shouting at them. When you talk to me, take the bass out your voice. You talking to a grown man. You kill a little boy, and we gonna fight for justice. We gonna fight with our pride and our dignity. We won't back down. We're not scratching where we don't itch. We're not laughing at what's not funny. We're not selling out. We're not bowing out. We're not backing down. There will be justice for Trayvon Martin. Thank you, and God bless you.
And there you go. Reverend Al Sharpton, he is a man who's been leading much of the public outcry in terms of getting justice for Trayvon. Let's go now to NBC's Ron Allen. He also a man who's been there covering this story since the beginning. He is outside that police department where those hundreds, if not thousands, have gathered. So the latest on the ground there, Ron, give me a sense of the tenor of that march. Was it peaceful? Was it angry? Was it both before they got to that police department?
It's very peaceful. There are a lot of families here. There are a lot of kids. A lot of young people, teenagers are here. It's a very peaceful gathering. There's been no hint of violence, no hint of trouble. Everybody is just conducting themselves in a very dignified way, and a number of speakers at the podium there have urged people to do that as well. You also heard Reverend Sharp addressing the criticism of these continuing rallies. He says, and others, that the family, the Martin family, Trayvon Martin's parents, asked them to be here. And as long as they continue asking them to be here, they will be here. And there are signs that this could escalate or step up in some ways. There's talk of civil disobedience, sit-ins, pray-ins, as they call them, outside the police department or in other places around the city. There's talk of trying to target some of the corporations that fund and support groups that back the Stand Your Ground law here in Florida and elsewhere. So the activism may take on different tactics in the days and weeks to come. Remember, the grand jury here doesn't take their seats until April 10th. That's fairly soon, but that could take a while. And the challenge for these protesters here and across the country and around the world, for that matter, is can they keep up the momentum? Can they keep bringing people out in the streets and doing things to keep the pressure on? Because it appears that this is going to go on for a while. I don't think anybody here expects the state prosecutor to walk out Monday morning with an arrest warrant. I think the feeling is this is going to be a while and people are digging in and preparing for the long run. Alex?
Not surprised with that assessment. NBC's Ron Allen, many thanks for that live report.